And welcome back to Pokemon Team Creation videos. Well, it's the Pokemon Team Creation series, but it's never labeled that in the title, just in the playlist. But this one comes to us from Master Pint, who asked the question, what is the Pokemon team of Asta from Black Clover? Now, I've fallen off of Black Clover, not because I don't like the series, but because I haven't really had the time to continue reading. But I am actually a fan of Black Clover. So, this became an interesting little test. Well, how should I incorporate Asta's world, everything he does, everything he has, into his Pokemon team? And half the team was a pretty easy fix, and honestly, the other half wasn't that hard. Let's just get into it. Asta is known, obviously, for having the ability to access anti-magic. All of his quote unquote magical abilities come from his five-leaf clover, which has its power connected to a demon that can use anti-magic. And so, if you're going to make an Asta-centric team, you need a sword-based Pokemon. And so half of his entire team is nothing but the Doublade evolution, the Honedge evolution line, which would really just make sense. You have the single blade, you have the double blade, which you can use two blades at once, and you have like the super strong blade, which has other abilities beyond just being a sword. It's also a shield. So this very much made sense to me. But none of them have a property that would be considered anti-magic. And that was the real trick of it. Figuring something that would be anti-magic. Now, in the world of Pokemon, whenever we're dealing with like magicians or psychics or whatever, a psychic has usually been the type that's been considered the anti-magic type. The magical type, the type magicians use. But then the advent of the fairy type came, and that is by nature a more magical type than psychic. So I kind of came at a little bit of a crossroads, because in one hand, if you want something that's anti-magic, just negates magic, well, psychic makes more sense because you can just use a dark type Pokemon. But fairy by nature is more of a magical type in just its very essence of creation, essence of being. So, but there's no type that is strictly immune to fairy is the problem. So this very much became a bit of a quandary to me. But I ultimately figured it out. Basically, we went with drum roll please, Grimmsnarl. Grimmsnarl was the mon that decided to be the representation of anti-magic. Now, the reason for that is it is the best of both worlds. Because anti-magic is technically still magic. It's just magic that basically negates magic is what it does. So because it's both a fairy and a dark type, it means it goes neutral with fairy. And it negates completely, it's immune to psychic type moves. So, and it's probably one of the more it's more based off a troll or an ogre than anything. It's more of a troll. It's more based off a troll than anything else. But it is a demonic-looking-esque Pokemon, to be certain. Like, if you were to ask me what Pokemon look close to demons, Grimmsnarl would be on the list. So this was the one I decided to go with. And it also works because when Asta takes on certain transformations with his anti-magic, wearing it as a cloak, he's covered in a black miasma-esque energy. This, again, looks very much similar to like how Grimmsnarl is designed. So I decided to go with I thought Grimmsnarl was a good work for that. Beyond that, though, I knew I needed a physical Pokemon. A Pokemon that was basically a fighting type to represent the fact that Asta, having not really any magic to begin with, stressed his physical training. And with that, I went with an old favorite here, Lucario. The reason for I went with Lucario and not maybe like I'm a champ or something like that is I wanted... Ryu alone is actually expressed to be extremely powerful even for a young Mon. Lucario is the full evolution of that minus Mega. And it can learn other things beyond just physical moves. But most fighting types kind of can. Even real quick, if I go to, say, a tried and true standard in, say, Machamp, even Machamp can go learn a couple moves that, Machamp still mostly learns physical moves, to be fair. But, where are you? There you are, Machamp. let's go to Machamp's list of techniques that it can learn very quickly here. So Machamps, as of right now, because they're not in Gen 9 yet, they mostly just learn physical attacks, absolutely. Although you can't, and naturally speaking, they only learn physical attacks. They can, and they learn almost solely just fighting type moves and normal type moves, with the exception of Dual Chop. However, they can also learn things like Hyper Beam. They can learn Light Screen. They can learn a Rock Slide. Well, that's a physical move, but they can learn Snore. They can learn a couple special moves. They can learn around. And those are technical machines. Then there's the TR recorded moves. They can learn Flamethrower. They can learn Fire Blast. They can learn Focus Blast, which is one of the only special fighting type moves that exists. So they're not beyond learning special type moves. Lucario can definitely learn a couple more of them, but not by a lot. But I chose Lucario because it's also one of those mons that evolves through friendship, and Asta is very big on his friendships. His, what was it, Juno? His rival, and orphan mate, I guess we'll call his friend from orphanage. Lucario, and because he's steel type, the durability anti-magic gives him, plus the swords kind of being a part of him, goes in there as well. So I just like Lucario. I mean, I don't always use Lucario. You could probably swap Lucario out with just about any fighting type mon, and it would work just fine. In fact, I would argue that Lucario is among all the ones on this team, Lucario is probably the mon that I am the most okay with. I'm the most okay with just getting rid of completely. So yeah. But beyond that, anyway. So the last mod on the team, this one just came to me. I'm like, okay, I got the strength one, I got the demon energy, anti-magic, got the swords. I need something else on the team. What else can I do? And I remembered this, Rookity. Why Rookity? Because he has this little bird that basically, if I remember correctly, these birds are attracted to you based on the amount of magic you have. And the more magic you have, the more they kind of just leave you alone. But because he had no magic, this one bird just kept attacking him constantly. And just like nested his head and all that. And it looks surprisingly like Rookity. So I thought this would be like one of those things where this Rookity just has this weird affinity for him, and it just attacked him and eventually caught it out of like just necessity of getting rid of it. So yeah, I like that idea. And if we're going by the idea of his trainer journey, his partner probably to start with was a Riolu. And along the way, he ended up finding a Honedge and probably an Impidimp fighting with each other. He ended up catching both of them. This led to the Rookity getting caught. And then he actually didn't evolve Honedge or to Doublade. The Honedge maybe has like a shred of an Everstone stuck in it. But he instead actually ended up catching a Doublade and an Aegislash along the way as his journey commenced, and Impidimp and Lucario ultimately evolved. The Rookity decided to never evolve, though. It just likes being a Rookity. So yeah, that's the team here. And yeah, among teams, this is one of my lesser balanced ones. Yeah, 3 Ghost type, 4 Steel type. Well, it's actually not as badly balanced as I thought. The Steel Ghost type has 3 immunities, so it's certainly not weak by any stretch of the means. But it's also just still vulnerable to fire. If I'm not mistaken, these guys do not have Levitate as their ability, do they? One second here. I don't actually remember if they have Levitate for their ability. I am checking that as we speak. Honedge. There's Honedge. All right. And what, pray tell, is your ability, Honedge? Normally. Because if they have Levitate, then that just changed things up. No, they have No Guard as the ability, usually. So, yeah. So they're still weak to ground-type moves. They're still weak to dark-type moves. Still weak to ghost-type moves. Still weak to fire-type moves. But they're immune to poison, normal, and fighting. And fighting is a weakness of steel, so that's mitigated. Then you have the immunities. In fact, all this team has immunities. Should note that. Rookity has an immunity to ground. Grimmsnarl has an immunity to both dragon and dark. And Lucario has an immunity to poison. So this entire team actually isn't, I mean, the fact that you have 3 Mon of the exact same typing notwithstanding, this team is really not as unbalanced as you might think because they compensate for the same typing with a buttload of immunities. So that's just my opinion, though. I still wouldn't personally use a team like this. I would only keep the Aegis Slash and then get rid of Bone Edge and double it and do something else. Have a dragon of some kind on the team, and maybe have like either a fire or a water type on there too. Anyway, that is my opinion. Asta's team. What do you think, though? Do you like this team, or would you do something different? Let me know. But until then, thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.